our greatest responsibilities and privileges at the International Quilt Study Center and Museum is ensuring that our world-class collection is protected and preserved for future generations to enjoy and study. Whether quilts are new or returning from display outside the museum, the first thing we do is put them in isolation. This special area of the building includes a freezer, which kills any bugs or larvae that might be attached to a quilt and could infect the rest of the collection. Quilts are then stored in sealed plastic bags and inspected to ensure that no outside pests enter the collection. After at least 2 weeks in isolation, quilts are vacuumed by a team of volunteers before being stored again. To vacuum a quilt, we place a soft, flexible screen over it. This prevents the vacuum suction from pulling on the quilt and damaging it. We slowly move the vacuum over both sides of the quilt. The Quilt House team takes pest control seriously. We follow policies set by the American Alliance of Museums. It's a lot of work, but we do it to protect the quilts for future generations. Quilts introduced to the collection are assigned a unique number and affixed with a cloth label containing basic information. The labels are 100% non-bleached cotton and hand-sewn with large stitches. Our staff and volunteers perform object surveys on all new and returning items. This gives us a chance to thoroughly study every quilt in the collection and start a file for it. In an object survey, we establish the quilt's length and width, and whether it was made by hand, by machine, or both. We take note of how the binding was applied and the number of stitches per inch. We determine the fiber in the quilt and what fabrics were used. We also make notes of any inscriptions, which are later researched by our genealogical task force. All of this information goes into our database along with any history or genealogical information we might have on each quilt. Most quilts are loosely folded, wrapped in tissue paper, and placed in archival boxes along with rolls of tissue paper to prevent creases from forming. Once in the collection, each quilt is refolded periodically to prevent permanent lines from forming. Some quilts are stored flat in drawers or rolled around foam pipe. Some of the quilts in our collection can never be folded. They may be too fragile or too heavy, and folding would damage them. Others may have painted surfaces and must remain flat. The white cotton gloves worn by staff and volunteers prevent body oils from transferring to the quilts. For their own protection, quilts are displayed for a maximum of 12 months out of every 10 years. This minimizes the amount of light exposure and reduces the wear and tear from hanging on display. Quilts are stored in our state-of-the-art climate-controlled facility. This includes a series of movable shelves, rolls, and flat units. Our collection and exhibition spaces are kept at a constant 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 50% humidity. Many of these conservation practices can be used at home to care for your own textile collections. You can purchase a copy of To Protect and Preserve in the Quilt House Museum shop or download a copy from our website.